Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the tipping series where this will be the second last tipping video I go into. This time we are tipping the greatest games in football history, the greatest game in a football calendar, the preliminary finals. It's where none of the fucking corporate cunts can come. They're for the grand finals. The prelims is the truest game of football with the truest fans and the truest footy. And we've got two prelims that I think can go either way. And I guess that's sort of synonymous with a lot of prelims that happen every year, but maybe this year's not so different in that respect. Now, first of all, let's talk about the first prelim. Sydney taking on Port Adelaide. Not sure this one is technically first, but we'll just start with this one nonetheless. Now, I'm going to say it outright right now. I think Sydney win this game. The thing with Sydney and Port Adelaide, you can talk about the last times they've met each other, which has gone Port Adelaide's way. I mean, if we go here, trying to find this. Anyway, whilst this is coming, there is no doubt in my mind that Sydney have the upper hand in this game. Here we go, recent games. So this year, they've played once, and we all know what happened in that game. Round 21, Port Adelaide won by 112 points. Excuse you yawning here, which is, an absolute demolition. The year before, 2023, away from home, Port Adelaide beat Sydney, and at home in 2022, they beat Sydney. In fact, they've beaten Sydney a lot, at least the last 3 times. So Port Adelaide have a really good record, seemingly, against Sydney. But despite the fact they pulled Sydney's pants down in round 21, no Todd Marshall, no Dan Houston, no Farrell, I'm pretty sure. I just can't see them winning. Hawthorn probably had the opportunity to win, and given that it's just not at home, it's at Sydney's home ground, not Port Adelaide's, I find it really hard to see a world where Port Adelaide can get the win. And that is just being honest. Yeah, I don't want to be that guy and say that outright, but I've written off Port Adelaide. Well, I wrote them off against the Hawks, and they proved me wrong. But I did tip them against Geelong, and they proved me wrong. So every time I tip for or against Port Adelaide, the other way happens. So I haven't got a tip right for them this final series. Will that happen again against Sydney? Like I said, I don't think so. Sydney, extra week's break, at their home ground. Less key injuries, at least as far as I know. I'm filming this on a Monday, right? And there could be some laid outs, so I'm not so sure about that. So I am pretty confident that the Sydney Swans will win, and then they'll make the grand final. Now, the question is who will, and also just actually before I go on to who will they be playing, Port Adelaide, I think, also just giving it their all for that last final. They're not going to have much energy left. And in terms of game style for game style, I think Port Adelaide, like history suggests, they bode really well against Sydney. I mean, Sydney, small forwards, I don't think pose too much of a threat to Port Adelaide, which Hawthorn and Geelong's did. So that's the only chance I see Port Adelaide winning. But we're going to go with Sydney there. And like I was going to say before, the question is, who are they going to play? Will they play the Collingwood, the Geelong Football Club, or the Brisbane Lions? That's the real question, and this one is a lot harder for me. I think a lot of people will find this one the hard game. What's this plant doing? The realistic reality of realism, of realness of this game is that you've got a team that is in form in Geelong and a team that's in form in Brisbane. So no winners there. Finals proven Geelong in recent years, but also finals proven Brisbane in recent years. So no really upper hand there. I think there's a couple niche upper hands. I would say Brisbane more or less are the better team, but I would say these two teams have had some really close games. I even remember when Fagan first took over, there were some brilliant games against these two clubs. Geelong had the extra day break, so that might be another sticking point here. There's no doubt about it. Geelong are the favourites. They're going to get Stewart back as well, I believe, as far as all things are considered. In terms of recent outings, in round 6, Brisbane lost to the Geelong Football Club at home this year. Last year, Brisbane beat Geelong at home. The year before, Brisbane beat Geelong at home. So they only seem to be playing at home for some weird reason. But the fact of the matter is, it's now at Geelong's home. And I am famous online for writing off Geelong quite a lot. You know, I rarely tip them. It would be funny to see how many times I tipped against them this season. They're in a prelim, which means they're a good team nonetheless. Anyone who makes a prelim are a good team and usually will have that ability to make a grand final. But you just got to tip a team in the end. That's what this series is about. And for me, I'm tipping the Brisbane Lions. I'm going against Geelong once again. I said last week that whoever wins the Brisbane Giants game, which by the way, I did get the Giants prediction right, having them losing to Brisbane, but I got the Hawthorn prediction wrong. But I did say whoever won that game out of Giants and Brisbane will go on to win the grand final. I'm pretty vocal about that, and I'm going to stick with that. I would have backed the Giants maybe a little bit more, but you know what? Brisbane, they've shown it all. They've shown their ability to go ahead in the first quarter. They've shown their ability, we saw that against Carlton. We saw the ability of them to come from behind. One of the greatest comebacks of all recent history, in finals history, in the AFL, VFL history. You won't see a greater comeback than that for maybe 50 plus years. That's how insane it is. It was just mental on the biggest stage and in front of, against a team that was arguably the best in the comp, the Giants. You have to give Brisbane some credit there. And I think with these sort of 50-50 games, which I think it is, you got to give it to someone. And maybe my natural bias is taking over, that implicit bias here, in the fact that I just would rather Brisbane win the flag than Geelong. I'm sick of Geelong. I'm a Richmond fan. I have a vendetta against Geelong, which is why I never really tipped them. But I do think Brisbane are going to go to the MCG, and this is the main thing is, I don't think it's been confirmed as of yet. I don't think so. Maybe I'll just double check. 1 second. It has been confirmed that it is at the MCG. That is where the final will be. So it's not really at Geelong's home ground, even though it is. Like, they'd rather play it at GMHBA. Brisbane, I'm going to back them in, and that is the tip. That's the tip. Although, look, that, like I said, 50-50 game. I'm going to get a lot of comments about how I won't back Geelong. Haven't learnt my lesson. But you know what? I'll back Brisbane in. And I think Brisbane from here, we're going to win the flag. So why don't we just tip that one there? So we're going to tip Brisbane here. And then let's finish off with our flag winners, the Brisbane fucking Lions. And that there is my final hypothesized AFL ladder prediction. So let me know if you agree in the comments with the final prediction. And who's going to win the prelims. And I'll see you for one more week of tipping, where we'll be tipping the potential grand final winners.